Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more movie content just like this.
Pretty please, with sugar on top.
So full disclosure, I know nothing about Tom Clancy media, but upon doing my research, I found out that Michael B. Jordan's character in this movie has in fact been race swapped. When Michael B. Jordan was asked about the idea that Tom Clancy purists might not be okay with this change, he pretty much said that he can't concern himself with things like that. His goal was simply to update these stories into modern times. Now, I don't think he's coming from a place that means any harm, to be quite honest. He even says that he was once a fan of the Tom Clancy video game, so I believe him on that. But as for the question of whether or not fans of this franchise, or any franchise for that matter, do they have the right to be upset when the source material is changed? And if you ask me, they absolutely do. Some might not mind, and some might be bothered by it. You could do these things creatively, but there's a chance that some fans won't support you if you do so. It's a slippery slope if you're trying to build a franchise and you alienate some of the core fan base.
That makes sense.
But as for me, as I said, I have no connection to this media whatsoever, so I could just watch this movie and take it for what it is. I really like Michael B. Jordan as an actor. I think he's a bit overrated at times, but I do think he's very talented and he shows a lot of range in most of his roles. I do think he plays angry or aggressive characters a lot, and in this movie we get the angst that we typically get from him, but not so much with the range. And it really has nothing to do with him as an actor. It has more to do with how his character was written. This character was written very one-dimensional. I use the word cliche a lot when I review modern movies, but the reality is that a lot of the ideas and plot points that are in these modern movies aren't very original.
This is whack! I can't get jiggy with this shit!
In this movie, Michael B. Jordan plays John Kelly, and at the beginning of this movie, his Navy SEAL team is being picked off one by one on American soil, kind of commando style. But when it's his turn to get taken out, they accidentally kill his pregnant wife instead. And thus, a very generic revenge plot begins to play out from here on out. John is a broken character of sorts, but somehow he gets put on the mission to extract the person who killed his wife from Russia. So right there we have a red flag. So you have Jamie Bell's CIA character and you have Guy Pearce's secretary character, who is pretty much every character that Guy Pearce has ever played. And they're both in there stirring the pot and calling all the shots. And every time they do or say something, there's these red flags going up everywhere, and it's very obvious that things aren't quite what they seem. Like, it's very clear that one of these characters aren't who they claim to be. And I say that because, again, we've seen this all before.
Here I come. Oh, here I come.
It turns out that the killing of John's team, the killing of his wife, and the whole mission to go extract the Russian was all just one big setup by, you guessed it, Guy Pearce's very obviously shady Washington, D.C. character. And that's the biggest problem with this movie for me. At least as a pure revenge story, it feels much more personal. And it still is that, it just becomes to a lesser degree when we get this reveal. Because it's the overall objective of the crooked Washington guy that kind of ruins everything. He wants to start a war because America will profit from war with Russia. I think this may have been the most generic and obvious plot twist that I've ever seen in a movie. Like, I really saw it coming almost a mile away. John eventually gets his revenge on the Guy Pearce character, and he fakes his death, and he comes back in a mid-credits sequence that is basically designed to tease the creation of a counterterrorism unit known as Rainbow. I would assume this is a very obvious reference to Rainbow Six. So now it appears we are getting a Tom Clancy shared universe. Just what we needed, right? I think a shared cinematic universe for Tom Clancy does make sense, considering what little I do know about the source material. But I'm just so over the idea of shared universes at this point that the instant I even think that one is being teased, I instantly check out. Because shared universes end up being a burden on storytelling, in my opinion. Because typically when they do this, studios, instead of making a well-crafted, self-contained story, the focus goes to Easter eggs and just setting up the next movie. And it usually makes the movies involved pretty forgettable to me.
Move this man!
There is one scene in Without Remorse that I actually really liked and I'm going to talk about for a second. It was an action sequence that honestly reminded me of a video game. So to set the stage, John is trapped in this building alone, and the building is surrounded by Russian police. And he has to basically shoot, fight, and explode his way out of the building. Even the way he eventually sneaks out is a very cool espionage type moment. This was easily the best scene in the whole movie. Overall, to me, Without Remorse is pretty much largely forgettable. It's not really terrible, it's just kind of there. there, if you know what I mean. The plot is very by the numbers, the main character is very one-dimensional. There is at least one good action sequence to hold your attention for a few minutes, but it's not enough to give the whole movie a very lasting impression. I didn't really feel anything one way or another, so obviously this movie is going to get the Careless Sam Gerard.
I don't care!
So have you seen Tom Clancy's Without Remorse streaming on Amazon Prime? Let me know about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.